Welcome to the Dub Turbo VST install video. What I'll do in this video quickly is go over how to purchase and install all 5 VSTs into bigger DAWs, and we'll be using Cubase for this. If you've purchased Dub Turbo in the past, yes, you can log into the members area and just grab the VSTs. If you're brand new to our brand, then yes, you'll get both for the same price today, whether you buy it from dubturbovst.com or dubturbo.com or from our various affiliates and partners. So, once you absorb, either here or on the main Dub Turbo site, you'll notice you're going to get both for 40 bucks. You'll pay. You'll be instructed to go log into your members area, which will look like this. The next step is to download. You can click it here or here, and you'll be taken to our download and install section. Again, if you've already downloaded the standalone, all you have to do, you don't need to re-download it. We haven't updated this version yet. We just released this, the hot new VSTs. So if you're brand new, you'll download everything, and if you've already purchased our brand, just want the VSTs, you'll grab this. Figure out whether you need a 32-bit version for Windows, a 64-bit version for Windows, or a Mac AU version. Quick note, the Mac AU version, only the main Dub Turbo VST-i will work as a Mac AU. The other 4 are unfortunately Windows VSTs only. However, we have heard of Mac users somehow wrapping Windows VSTs so they can still use them. So we've included them for you. However, just a quick note up front, we don't support the conversion process, but if you guys know how to do it, then great. So what you'll do is you'll download your version and it'll come to you as a zip file. Once you get that zip file and open it, whether you're using WinRAR, WinZip, TugZip, or any of the others, hold down Control and select everything except for the standalone versions and the README file. And the standalone versions are literally exe versions of 4 of these, where you can run them as standalone as well. Okay, and then here, what you'll need to remember if you're new to all this stuff, especially you'll need to learn this really quickly, is VSTs work within bigger DAWs, and DAW stands for Digital Audio Workstation, or a VST host. And a VST literally means it is a virtual instrument or virtual effect that plugs into bigger DAWs. So we'll go back and look at a couple. Most common, and the one that I'll be using for demoing all this, is Cubase. All the ones I'll show you here will have a free, full-featured demo that you guys can use and get familiar with how to use VSTs. There's thousands of VSTs out there, okay? Both effects, where you can add echoes, reverbs, this and that, and actual instruments where they're sample-based or synth-based, and you get sounds out of them, drums out of them, etc. So Cubase. Next is Ableton. I believe they also have a full 30-day trial. You can try it before you buy it. Ableton Live. If you're on a Mac, Logic Studio is what you'll probably be getting. And then Pro Tools is the other one. There's probably others. Let's see, ImageLine, Fruity Loops, or FL Studio. If I've missed you, I'm sorry. But yeah, any big DAW that supports VSTs. And there's also vsthost.com, which is a free beginner VST host where you guys can get familiar with how to use these. You'll grab all these and you'll dump them into your respective VST folder. Once you download and install any of these, you'll have a VST folder and it'll instruct you where to install and put your VSTs, or you can tell the software where your VST folder sits too. So I know where mine sit. I'm going to be using Cubase AI5 for this. So in program files, you'll literally go to your start button, my computer, see program files, find your app, and then find the VST plugins folder within it. Then you'll literally grab these and drag them over right into your VST folder. I already have them in here, so I don't need to do that. There they are, from here right down to the bottom. Once you open Cubase now, these will read and then it'll run. Once it runs, we'll show you in Cubase how to get them set up and use each feature from here. Okay, a couple quick notes before we start into Cubase. Now that you're getting into the semi-pro or pro level of audio and you're using bigger DAWs, you'll want to upgrade your sound card, get yourself a MIDI keyboard, and some MIDI wires. And we'll go over the 3 right now really quickly. Without spending too much, you can get yourself a half-decent sound card. I'd recommend the Steinberg CI2. I have one myself. I do like it. It'll really improve with your response rates. It'll lower your latency quite a bit, especially if you're going to be using a MIDI keyboard, which we'll talk about next. Next, you'll want to get yourself a MIDI controller. And you can get them in keyboard format so that there's keys from 1 octave up to 8 octaves, 10 octaves. Or you can type in MIDI controller and you'll get a whole bunch of different ones that are both padded, like this guy here has pads, like the MPC kind of thing, and you can have a cool combo thereof. I just like I have a Motif 8. I love just having 8 octaves of keys that are key sensitive too. So you can use in Cubase, I'm going to hit Alt-K, and that'll bring up my keyboard. You can use the on-screen keyboard, and that also means you can use, see them light up as I'm punching the keys. You can use your actual keyboard, but you won't have sensitivity, and let's face it, you're using your keyboard, which has its advantages if you want to knock stuff out quick. But once you get detailed and you want complexity and you want sensitivity, so the harder you press the key, the louder the note or the drum is, and vice versa, the softer you press the key. Usually there's 16 levels of sensitivity. You'll be able to take advantage of that. And then if you get a MIDI controller that doesn't go USB right away, you'll want to grab an M Audio or a similar MIDI component interface for yourself so that you can connect your keyboard to your computer. Most of the newer ones just go right direct to the MIDI components anyway and have USB MIDI built in. Okay, so having those three will get you guys a lot further along, a lot faster with the VSTs once you learn how to use your DAW, whichever one you pick. A couple more last minute notes, why not? Those of you that have that extra buck and want to go even more pro, grab yourself a Mackie mixer, because what you can do then is plug a whole bunch of stuff into here, a bunch of different mics, your keyboard, whatever, and then feed this whole thing into your sound card. So if you have a sound card that only has those left and right channels and you can only plug one or two things in, then you can plug this whole mixer in and then split everything up. If you are only going to use one keyboard or one mic, or you want to capture from a source, then it is best to go from that source directly to your sound card. However, the Mackie boards are beautiful, low noise, if not totally no noise. Get yourself a couple of great sets of wires, high quality wires, and you're rocking and rolling. Those of you that are rapping, singing, and want to get vocals in there, I can't recommend the Shure SM7 enough. I have another video on the channel that goes over building a studio. Go to video number 5 of those 5 series, and you'll see me test 4 mics, including the SM7 in a live environment in a booth, and you'll see why I have become a new fan of the SM7 quite a bit. And then you can't get a mic like this without having a dope preamp, so I got myself a Solo 610. And I'm not trying to say go out and buy all this stuff, spend all this money, but those of you guys that do have that extra buck and you're like, you know what, I love this stuff, I want to get into it further, I have the money to spend, this is what I'm at. This is what I'm using right now to record this video, and I'm able to loop my computer back through the Mackie and then feed it through the sound card again through the alternates without having that loop. So this is a beautiful setup for all kinds of multimedia use and obviously for music production. Okay, enough about this stuff. Let's go right into Cubase and start using the Dub Turbo VSTs. Okay, a quick recap. You guys downloaded the zip file. You copied over everything except for the README file and the standalone versions into your DAW's VST folder. You might want to grab all these and drag them to your desktop or create a folder just to back them up. If you downloaded them without saving to your computer, then this will be gone. It'll be in your temp files and your downloads folder from your internet, whatever browser you were using, and you might lose it, forget where it is, etc. So just back it up if you'd like. And then once they're in here, you start up Cubase or whatever DAW. If it was already open, close it and reopen it now that you've added those VSTs. Okay, so I've opened a blank canvas in Cubase, and then to get my VSTs up, there's 2 types. There's VSTIs, which are instruments. One is a sample-based instrument, and one is a synth, and I'll walk over the difference in a moment. And then the others are effects. So we'll go to Devices and VST Instruments, or F11 for short, and my VST instruments come up. What I do from here is pick Dub Turbo 2 is our main VSTI, the Samploid, or the Wub Wub. We're going to go one at a time here. So let's load Dub Turbo 2. It's going to ask me if I want to create a MIDI track and assign Dub Turbo 2 to it. I say yes and create. If it doesn't ask you to do that, what you'll need to do is right click on this area here first, add a MIDI track, say 2 or 3 of them if you want to use 3 of these, and then right on that MIDI channel, once you've added your VSTs, like once you've chosen one and it didn't ask you if you want to create or not, all you'll simply do is go to the MIDI channel, select whatever input you're using, and then for the output you'll select Dub Turbo 2. And that's how you'll get access to this. And if it doesn't pop up, then you'll just simply click on this guy and that'll pop up your actual instrument. Okay, I'm going to get rid of those just to backtrack, keep myself clean. Here, turn up the low amps. You'll have everything loaded for you with select a kit. First one's already kind of selected, but anyway, it'll ask you to select a kit. So we'll select the beatbox. On the screen, you'll notice that the lower on the key that I click, the louder it'll be, and then as I go back up, there's those 16 levels of sensitivity I was talking about. So you can still kind of achieve them on the screen. And then here, Alt-K, or somewhere up here, you bring up your virtual keyboard. There it is. Okay. You can click, or use the actual keyboard that you type on. To make your little loops and beats and whatnot. Okay, so we'll leave the left side alone for now too. We'll just go over the basics. This is your volume. We'll illustrate that. This is the different instruments that we offer, one being drums and effects, the others being instruments. We'll go load those for a second. Okay, I'm going to go back to the drums though. You can literally just left and right them. Left and right the kits as well. Your left and right pan. We give you a little reverb right here. Though this affects the whole kit and the whole thing, so I would kind of leave this off because we give you all kinds of effects to use, which I'll illustrate in a little bit. Your LFO rate and depth. You hear how it's getting all chorusy and wonky? You can do all kinds of different variations with that, but when it comes to drums, you tend not to really want to do that. You can do that with the instruments and the other stuff that you can load in here after. Okay, low amp will just get you louder, and high amp, and then the glide, that affects this too. You can group stuff, but again, this starts getting into more advanced features, which I'll leave out because I'd like to cover all 5 tools in this. That's obviously bendable, as you can hear. And if you've already got your MIDI keyboard hooked up, there you go. All 8 octaves can be filled in, and we give you guys packs that you can load in afterwards, or we also give you a sampler where you guys can load in your own samples very easily too on another layer as a VST. Actually, you know what? Let's just do at least a little something so that you guys can see the versatility of this. The way we programmed all the kits makes sense so that if you lay a beat, a performance of any kind, and then you switch, you're like, I want to hear how that'll sound with this kit. It'll still sound how it's supposed to sound because the kicks are where they're supposed to be and the snares are on the keys they're supposed to be. So everything's kind of universal. Sure, let's do some random stuff. Whatever happens here happens. Quantizing 116. Boom. All right. Should have had my metronome on there, but now what we can do is turn the keyboard off. I did that whole thing with the keyboard that I type on, by the way, not the MIDI controller. And I'm just going to loop. Okay, and now we'll take it through a different sound set, and we'll play around with it, see what it sounds good with. You'll notice that most of the drums are where they should be. A few variations might differ, but nonetheless. Add a little reverb. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to choose Dub Turbo 2 again on my second layer of VSTs, and then I'm going to duplicate this downwards. So I have a Vox sentence thingy going, and then here on this layer I'm going to choose some drums. All right, and then once you get 2 going, you can keep going. But these kits, again, some of them are up to 8 octaves, so you can bang a lot of stuff out with just using one kit and then just duplicating them on different tracks, using this octave and then this octave and then this octave as you go further down and you want to add or variate different build-ups and drops. So very intuitive. And then once you get 2 layers going that are duplicated, you can change this one up a little bit so it's a bit of a different pattern, and it contrasts this one the same way you would in the standalone, those of you that were building beats in the standalone. And then build up different drums overlapping each other. Have 3 layers, one left, one right, one main, with subtle change ups and reverbs going on the second channel. So here's 2 drum sets going. Okay, that can go on forever, so I'll just stop there. We'll move on to the next component. What I'll actually do is use the next component on this so I can illustrate what the effects do and what the VST instrument does. This is known as a VSTi. It's an actual instrument, right? So now that I have an actual instrument laid, I can go into an effect of this VST in Cubase. You'll do that by clicking on your channels here, and then in Cubase you'll have this pop up. Let's not focus on nothing but this first one right here. You'll see the Dub Turbo Norbox and preamp right here. We'll go with the Norbox for this tutorial. This is a lot to take in one visual, so let's close that. Let's actually close this too. We know what we have, right? Right now we have a simple, and we're actually going to mute one. Okay, so we have the Norbox being applied as an effect now to this. This can also be applied to a normal WAV file. So if you imported a WAV file, your vocals, or you want to master a track quickly, get a little oomph out of it, you would load up an audio track, import your WAV file, lay it on that track, and then from here you would go to your inserts, and that's the same as the other little window that popped up here. You'll see all your effects, and here you'll see the Norbox and the preamp. So select the Norbox here and you'll affect that channel's WAV file. Alright, so let's go back up here. We'll go from top to bottom on this. It's a lot to take in, but it is what it is. Your input level volume, your output level volume. Combination of gets you good little variation, and you can boost your frequencies a little bit more, closer to that red line. Left EQ, right EQ. Sync off, sync on. Okay, let's go backwards. Right EQ, left EQ. We've turned them all off, sync off. If you have a vocal, let's say, and the left ear needs a little bit of high, then you would, you need to add a little bit more highs and bring the bass down a bit because it's too strong on one side and you want to bring the other side up. You can do an effect just to one channel. In fact, you can turn them both on. So let's say this one has not enough bass, so you want to up the bass. This one has too much bass, and you want to up the highs. You can differentiate the left and right EQs, and then if you press sync, you'll see that one pop to match this one, and now you're affecting both. So the left is your bass, the middle is your mids, here are your highs. On the left channel, then the same thing on the right. That's your bass, that's your mids, that's your highs on a scale. All right, here are your left and right pan for the main, and then also, if you want to just leave that in the center and use volumes, that's your left main out, that's your right main out. So that's that whole top area right there. Okay, so we have a beat going, and we're going to illustrate this top piece, how each works. Start by turning it on. The sync is on, so we'll be affecting both left and right channels. Okay, now we'll just do one channel. You'll notice there's more bass in the left ear than there is in the right. I don't want to redline it, but trying to illustrate it. And then we'll turn the highs down here. And then you'll notice the vice versa in the other ear. So in traditional for drums, I just want to illustrate it so when you're doing vocals or stuff that you do want a little bit of a stereo image on, it's very easy to do. Okay, so let's just turn that off. We'll leave the EQs off and move down to the next section here. It's a little bit confusing, and we're going to release a version of the Norbox that is going to be called the light version. It'll just not have this section here. It'll just, everything will be on or off. No chaos pad. If you have everything down in the bottom right corner, you're in a safe zone. That means you're not adding any effects. No matter what you have on or off, you're in a safe zone. Tough. You're not going to hear nothing. Once you bring the white pointer onto the screen, you are using mono, left and right. And this white matches up with this white, both meaning left and right ear. P stands for popper, R stands for reverb, and PEQ stands for parametric EQ. And if you look at those three, there's a white A, a white B, and a white C. And the white pointer represents those. So A, B, and C. And you'll see the little A, the little B, and the little C. If you want to turn the popper on, you'll take this to A to match up the white with the white A, and you'll turn it on. And we call it the popper because you can pop sounds out of this that aren't even in there at first. And you can also redline it very easily too, so use it with extreme caution. Hear how you're starting to hear bongos out of nowhere? It's a 66 band EQ basically, and allows you to pop each one of them down or up, and you can get amazing mastering out of this. I've always loved having a lot of EQ on all my stuff. That's why you see tons of parametrics and 66 band and 30 band, 32 band, whatever this is up here, because you can't have enough EQ on every element. Okay, and then the reverb is B, so it's already on, and so is that, and so is that. So that actually won't be affected because it's a yellow C. Confusing. Let's just go one at a time. So A to B. Okay, now it's being affected by the reverb. And your dry and wet is your actual, like, this is off and this is full. And this is mixing the two. Let's go off. Now we'll bring in the reverb. Then your room width and dampness are all individual here as well. So you can have a little bit of a reverb, with a little bit of dampness, and a little bit of width, or you can go full out. and you'll just muck it right up. But hey, sometimes it sounds good on a vocal secondary track or whatnot. Okay, and then C, where is our C? Parametric EQ is C, so we'll move this to C. Turn that off, it's already off, and turn this on. Our parametric EQ is basically these little dots being bass, 2 mids, and 1 in the high area. It's also an equalizer. The wave file playing in the background there, if I click, you'll see a little pause symbol right there, turning on and off. If that's on, you won't see the wave file behind moving. If it's off, you see that line squiggling? It's just like this one. You have a high quality button, which you'll hear on really loud systems if that's on or off. And that's what this represents, the white one. You'll have both being controlled with one dot. Now we move into left and right ears. The yellow being your left ear, the right being your right ear. So let's illustrate. We'll turn the right ear off. Okay, and now we'll turn the other one on and the left ear off. Okay, we're going to get into automation a little bit later, which is up here. And as you move these around, you can record your actual movement. So if you're like, how am I supposed to move left and right together? You can't, but you can automate. So you want to turn the reverb on from here to here. You would record that, and then your next time around, you would do it again with this one. And then you'll see them both moving that way. And I'll show you guys how to do that. Not just yet, though. Okay, so your left and your right are right here. And they both duplicate and represent each other because we want them to make sense. So first one is CF, and that is your chorus and flange. And you look here, that is your chorus and flange. And that is on C, the yellow C. So I'd have to move these both here to the yellow C, right? A, B, and C. Turn this on, and now I'll have a chorus and flange going. This is the same dry wet, meaning off and fully mixed. And then all these functions here will just change and variate. The thickness, the depth, how strong, how light, how much of a pre-delay you have on it. Okay. Next, we have PS, and PS stands for pitch shifter. This is fun. It's also on C. Right here, pitch shifter. We'll turn the chorus and flange off and the pitch shifter on, or have them both on, but we'll do one first. And we have 2 pitch shifters. We'll turn them both on. This, actually, let's bring them back to the default and then illustrate exactly what happens here. Semis and cents are basically the amounts and levels you want to pitch up or pitch down. Okay, so let's do the main first. Now if we want to go super high, we turn this one up too. Later on, I'll show you guys how to vocalize and harmonize one vocal layer. You'll have 3 going by having all 3 of these. If the mono and the stereo are in here together, you can have 3 layers of vocals at each different octave or note and harmonize beautifully. But it doesn't turn out so good with the beats. Can't tell. Okay, so now we can turn the chorus and flange on too. We'll even turn a reverb on and bring this one on the screen as well. Okay, if we bring it between B and C, we'll even get some parametric EQ in there. And if we bring this, say, what else can we bring this into? CR stands for chorus, or stands for crazy reverb, and that is on A. So if we bring this between A and C, and now turn our crazy reverb on, this whole element here is also a reverb. So we can even turn that off, so we don't need that reverb anymore. Okay, let's turn these off. Go back to standard, and now turn on the crazy reverb only. All right, this beat that I made quickly and all the stuff I'm doing here, again, you guys experiment with what combos sound good with what. I just want to showcase everything on here as quickly as possible without dragging it on too long. So I'm going to shut up and keep going. Last but not least, SD, and that will stand for stereo delay. It's on the colored B, so I'll know I'll have to move my left and right to B. We'll turn that off. Turn the stereo delay on and watch what happens. You're literally hearing a stereo delay, and you can change the amount of the delay here. That's your timing. The closer it is to the left point, the quicker the delays will be between each one, and then as you move up, the longer the delay will be between each sound, each delay. Your feed is the strength, the amount of delay. I mean, it can go on forever. Watch. I just pressed play and stop. This is just the delay going. If I turn it down just a little bit, you'll start hearing it fade away. If I turn it down a lot, you'll hear it fade away fast. Okay, so you can have a crazy thing going on with all kinds of sources. Again, being vocals, instruments, background noises, scoring for movies. This thing it's an amazing addition to any studio, to any rack out there. Okay, so one thing I'll do, I guess, is illustrate how to oh, we didn't do the filters yet either. Let's do the filters. So it's on a yellow A. We'll move our left and right components to A. These are amazing for build-ups, especially in house and whatnot. The filters. Go to a low pass, we'll turn it on. High pass, just a reverse. Band pass, notch, peak. I'll let you guys experiment with the rest. But you can automate everything here too. What I mean by that is if I turn on my reading and writing and it's here now, we'll just automate this. If I go to the beginning and press play and move anything here, while this is on, it's going to record that movement and then play it back for me. So, there. If I go back to 1 and play, now it's moving on its own. I can now keep going and turn on other things, and it'll record the movement again. So I have my parametric EQ on here under C. I'll bring that in. There. Go back to 1. Now you'll see this move and this move. And this. And we'll keep going. All right, now we have a whole bunch of stuff going. I'll let it play for a few bars and just keep messing with it, and then we'll move on to the next component. Okay, now a lot of stuff is moving around. And this is called automation. Once you have a full track going and you have 16 layers going and you're automating each track one by one, bringing it in, bringing it out, fading it, affecting it, that's when you start getting beautiful stereo imaging. And that's where you start getting amazing emotional music and sound. Okay, moving right along, I'm going to leave that beat that I made. I just duplicated the bar over and the effects over. And what I'm going to do now is open up my VSTs again. And on my second VST, I will go to the wub wub. Okay. The same sequence or the same equalizer you guys had on the main VST is available here too. The same sync option is available on off, left, and right. Volume. However, this isn't a sample based VSTi. This is a synth-based VSTi. And what that means is it actually generates sound. Not because I pre-recorded a bass line and gave you guys the wave file. Sorry, that probably killed your speakers. But because it actually generates it based on the shape of the sound that you're trying to generate. So it's a 4 oscillator synth, in other words. 1, 2, 3, and the 4th, you can actually draw your shape of your sound and choose the type of sound, the volume of it, the fine pitch of it, and then the actual octave. All 8 octaves are here, or 9 octaves. How do I demo this best? 1, 2, 3, and 4 on your chaos pad represent 1 being on 1, 2 being on 2, 3 is 3, and 4 is the drawable one. And to represent that, let's bring our on-screen keyboard up. So now I can just use the keyboard. That it's on 1 right now. It's a sine sound, S-I-N-E, sine, at -2 octaves. I can go down even further, -3. Beautiful bass comes out of this thing. Beautiful wobbles and different, you'll see. Let's go back to -2 so you can hear it. Those of you that can't, get better speakers or earphones, or I'll do a little. Okay. Your fine-tuned pitching here. Probably can't even tell and hear it. It's so minute. And then your gain is your volume. Okay, we go to channel 2. That's a triangle at -2. We'll put that at 0 or -1. Now let's go up to 0. If I put this right in the middle, you'll hear both. It's already got that little bit of a dubstep-y feel to it. You just gotta res it out. I'll show you guys how to do all that momentarily. 3 is a sawtooth at -2. If we bring it between 1 and 3, we'll have both. If we bring it here, we'll have all 3. And 4, whatever's on 4. 4 is a triangle at +3. Extremely high. We'll bring that down a little bit, +2. I don't like the triangle much, actually. We'll go to square. And 0. Okay, so now if we go in the middle, we start hearing cool notes. The presets give you a whole bunch of different sounds, and some of these you can actually get little like gun sounds and snares and drum type sounds out of this, but it's meant to be a tone generator, a sound shaper, if you will, and you can mimic everything from pianos to violins to the new electro age type sound. So we'll go through a few of these. You'll notice the different types of effects that are going on too. That's this rack here. We'll go over all that in a moment. There you go. There's a gun. Or go really high octaves and maybe get a snare out of it. A few more, why not? I really like that. I'm going to stick to this. Okay, so now I'll explain what the reverb, flange, and delay do. It's just like the NOR box, just so you don't have to open that up every single time. Add more CPU usage through yet another VST effect. We'll give you them right here. So your reverb, that's naked, it's without anything. Now we'll add a little reverb. Now we'll add a little chorus flange. Whoa, or a lot. And your delay is a left and right stereo delay, just like on the NOR box as well. Nice stereo panning left and right. Okay, we'll turn that off, and I'll explain what the res does. Here's how you wobble. And last but not least, while you're doing all this and wobbling and changing octaves and using your chaos pad, you're even bending. All this is automatable. So again, once I lay a few things over this little beat that we've got going, I'll do the same thing. I'll automate and have a few change-ups happening and a couple little wobbles going on. Oh yeah, here's also a high pass and a band pass and same type of filters we had before. The ADSR rack basically stands for attack, delay, sustain, and release. And let's go over this quickly. So attack, if it's totally off, it's very abrupt coming in, just boom, right away. If I turn this up, say halfway, you'll hear a bit of a coming in, so it doesn't, right, it doesn't come in so sharp. If I turn it all the way up, you'll hear it fade in just long. It has its uses, right? I like, obviously, on drums and on notes that are supposed to be sharp to do what they're supposed to do and come in right away. So we'll leave that at about 25%. And then the delay, gives you a little bit of a volume / literal delay in your sound. Sustain is, if I just click the key and let go, it's just giving me a little blip there. This sustains it a little bit. And then the release, that's me doing the same thing. I just literally, okay, so 0 is, and full is, holds it forever, right? You want to figure out the best spot for you. That's way too long, obviously. Right in the middle seems to give you a little bit of a quarter second. And then as you get up there, 75% plus, it's way too long. Sorry, getting a little carried away here. Let's move right into just laying something, shall we? Okay, so now we see we've laid a little bit of a bass line / lead, and now what I'll do is turn the reading and writing on and start mashing it up. What we'll do first is we'll res it out, cut off, and track. So each time I play through, it'll record what I just did on that playthrough, that pass. Here we go. Okay, again, now we'll play with the cutoff. And now we'll play with the track. Okay, and we'll do a little bit of a chaos pad change up here and there. Okay, now we'll do a little bit of a reverb on and off. Play with the chorus a bit. Okay, and then whatever DAW you're using will allow you to show all your automation. And if it says show all used automation, select that. Here's all the little different change-ups and stuff I'm doing. So if something's too much or goes redlined, you can get rid of it. This part here might... Or you can adjust it, add your own little dot, move it to where you want it. Starting over with a new track, doing some dubstep beats that I'll be making after these tutorials are done. I'll do a couple traditional use, what you would do to make a little wobble, make a little dubstep bass line and whatnot. Just very random here because I'm trying to showcase all the tools. So this is starting to sound like shit, to be honest. But we're just, again, showcasing automation, showcasing all the different features and functions of this, the presets, the chaos pad, and you guys are free to get creative from there. You can also obviously double up on this, make more of these layers so that you have your bass line on one and your wobble on the other and your highs on the next, so on and so forth. All right, so that'll be the second VST. I'll go back to my VSTs, and this time we're going to showcase the samploid. And what this basically does is if you have WAV files on your computer in a folder, then you can line them up to your keyboard. And you can affect them and filter them, and you have an ADSR rack and the EQs again, main volume, pitch, just so you guys can basically utilize a Rompler sampler type tool very easily. And there's only a few limitations to it. I'll go over those first. Number one, you'll click on load samples. Don't load a folder that has long songs, like 50 actual WAV file songs, because what it'll do is it'll attach each of those 50 to 100 to 300 meg files to each one of these keys. It'll eat up your CPU and crash, and you might not be able to load it again until you start up a new session, so you might lose that track or whatever you're working with. So number one, just choose folders that have samples in them that are short, sweet, and meant to be used as samples. It'll line them up alphabetically starting from key 1 going right to the last. You will literally, so go into the folder that has the WAV files, the sample kit you just bought, whatever. You will choose one and you'll see it pop up here. When it pops up here, if you know them already, try to choose a long one, and you'll see the length here. When you finally choose one, you'll see that menu pop up. You'll choose whatever you choose, and you'll see your start point, which is draggable, and your end point, which is draggable. We're not going to go into that just yet. Just look for one that's long, 3.91 seconds. That means when I go through any of these, if it's on a short one, it'll only play that length for all of them. Okay, so what just happened here was those files from this one right down to this one have all been lined up from the first to the last. And I can make beats out of it the same way I did with the wub and the same way I did with the actual sample-based pre-programmed VSTI, which is all Dub Turbo to VSTI is. It's the same as this, but it's got the sounds pre-programmed. Here we're letting you actually load them. So here we go. Here we can loop, meaning whatever you're pressing. We'll literally loop. If we press span, we'll turn the loop off, then whatever sample it is that we actually have selected will span the whole keys up. Okay? If you have a nice piano sample or a nice violin or whatever, you can actually just span it all the way up. If we put reverse on, it'll span and reverse. If we turn span off and just have reverse on, your whole kit just basically became backwards. Which might sound cool. Hey, I mean, everything has applications for, or uses for different applications. This could be used as a cool little backwards skit, as a background noise, or just reversing samples to get something different out of them. So there's your 3 different variations. Again, you simply choose whichever sample it is you want that you want to span, if you're going to span. Or turn it off, and you have the whole 8 octaves filled with your samples. The EQ up here is the same as it works on the others. Sync on, sync off. ADSR rack works the same way as it does on others. The filters and effects, they're pretty standard. We'll turn them on just to show you guys. Sorry if any of these are way too loud. I'm trying to keep everything minimal so it doesn't blow speakers. But there you have it. And then there's a pitch. Let's turn everything off for a second. Really like high and low pitch. So I think it's like 8 up and 8 down, 8 octaves up, 8 octaves down. You guys can get really creative with this. Okay, so that's our samploid. I'll see if there's anything in here we can actually use for this beat. There we have it. So now we have that playing in there. And the same thing with the reading, writing, and automation we can do with this now too. Okay. And now if I load a different folder, it'll still strike those same MIDI keys, and whatever's in that folder will play. So again, if it's drums and you have nice patterns going, you can load up different patterns, maybe just change up a few of the notes, and boom, you're rocking a bit of a different vibe just off of that. Okay, so I have one left one effect left to show you guys, and you're free to rock and roll from here. I'm gonna have to get rid of one of these VSTs though. Okay, and the last thing to show you guys is our SOS preamp, and you get that the same way you would get any of the other effects. So what is it that I'm going to affect here? I want to make sure I'm going to affect something you can tell I'm affecting. Okay, we'll go with this, and we will turn our preamp on. And all this is going to do is really grit the sound. So it's probably not going to sound good on main drum leads. It'll sound good on vocals, voxes. Should be showcasing this on a vocal. All right, and that'll be that. So what I'm going to do from here is basically wrap up, and the next few videos you guys see, it'll be me using the VSTs to make actual beats real quick instead of talking about each feature and trying to find something good to match it up with. A lot of this stuff sounded wonky, but you guys got to see all the features in use. If you have any questions, don't be shy. Email support@dubturbo.com. We're going to try to do a little bit of support in the comments, but please don't rely on us to get you back in the YouTube comments. There's just way too many of them for us to look after, and that's what support@dubturbo is for. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you guys submit some videos to the Dub Turbo contest. There will be a link in the description. That's where you submit your screen captures of you making beats with Dub Turbo, and we're doing $5,000, $500 each month for 8 months, $1,000 in the 9th month for the best beat or best thing you make out of Dub Turbo, be it scoring a movie, be it remixing a song, be it dropping vocals and cleaning them up, be it mastering and starting from scratch with a beat and vocal combo. We want to see anything and everything you got, including those that are still using the standalone version. We want to see how you guys manage to cap out our standalone too, because you can still bang out wicked beats with that as well. Again, thank you for paying attention. Look forward to seeing you guys in your submissions and demos that you put online for us. Best of luck with the contest. Peace.